Night warfare is a realm where rules bend and fear carries more weight than daylight tactics. Darkness strips soldiers of their most trusted sense, sight, and replaces it with uncertainty, distorted sounds, and shadows that can hide death at arm's length. In this environment, every movement matters. A snapped twig can sound like a rifle bolt, and a distant echo can be mistaken for footsteps closing in. Elite units train for years to survive these conditions, yet even among them there is an unspoken understanding. The night belongs to those who are patient, disciplined, and ruthless in their precision. At night, the battlefield becomes psychological before it becomes physical. The enemy is rarely seen, only felt. Snipers thrive in this domain because darkness multiplies their advantage. They choose elevated positions, control angles, and strike without revealing themselves. Hunting such enemies after sunset is considered reckless, almost suicidal, because counter-sniper work depends on spotting tiny mistakes, muzzle flashes, movement, heat signatures that are deliberately minimized at night. This is why most units avoid proactive engagement until first light. Survival doctrine teaches waiting, not hunting. Yet elite night warfare is defined by those who refuse to accept those limits. It demands a mindset that treats darkness not as a handicap, but as a weapon. Night vision, thermal optics, suppressed weapons, and silent movement are only tools. The true advantage lies in understanding how humans behave under cover of darkness. Snipers grow confident at night. They linger longer, adjust positions less frequently, and begin to believe they are untouchable. That confidence becomes vulnerability. Operating in this environment requires absolute control over breathing, heart rate, and emotion. There is no room for haste. Every step must be planned to avoid silhouette, sound, or heat exposure. The hunter must think like prey and predator at the same time, anticipating where a sniper would hide, how long they would wait, and when they would risk another shot. Night warfare is chess played in near total silence, where one wrong move ends the game permanently. What elevates elite night combat is the ability to dominate time itself. Darkness creates a ticking clock. Dawn is inevitable. The hunter must work faster than the rising light, without ever appearing rushed. Each elimination must be clean, controlled, and final. There is no chaos, no wasted motion, only deliberate action layered with restraint. The goal is not noise or spectacle, but erasure. By the time the sun begins to rise, the enemy presence should feel as if it never existed. This level of warfare separates legends from soldiers. It is not about numbers or firepower, but about mastery over fear and environment. When someone chooses to hunt snipers at night, they are challenging one of the most deeply rooted assumptions in modern combat. They are declaring that darkness does not belong to the enemy, it belongs to whoever understands it best. And when dawn arrives to reveal empty positions and unanswered radios, the battlefield tells its story without words. Counter-sniper warfare is one of the most dangerous and mentally demanding roles on any battlefield, and its complexity multiplies when conducted against multiple hostile snipers operating in coordination. Unlike conventional combat, where enemies advance, retreat, and reveal themselves through movement, snipers are designed to remain invisible. Their success depends on patience, concealment, and the ability to strike once and disappear. Hunting them means entering a game where the opponent has already chosen the board, the angles, and the timing.
The first challenge in counter-sniper operations is information scarcity. Snipers do not announce their presence. They leave only subtle clues behind. A single suppressed shot, a fallen teammate, or a brief shimmer in optics might be the only indicators. At night or low visibility conditions, even these signs can vanish entirely. This forces the hunter to rely less on technology and more on behavioral patterns. Snipers tend to favor high ground, shadowed structures, and routes that allow quick exfiltration. Understanding these preferences narrows the search but never guarantees safety. Eliminating one sniper is difficult. Eliminating many requires exceptional discipline and adaptability. Each kill changes the environment. Remaining snipers become more cautious, relocate positions, or pause their fire entirely. Silence itself becomes a threat because it hides movement and intention. A skilled counter-sniper must interpret this silence correctly, distinguishing between withdrawal, repositioning, or an ambush designed to lure the hunter into exposure. Precision is non-negotiable. Counter-sniper engagements rarely allow for follow-up shots. A missed round reveals position, angle, and intent, instantly flipping hunter into hunted. For this reason, counter-snipers prioritize certainty over speed. They wait for confirmation, align their breathing with the shot, and commit only when the probability of success is absolute. The mental pressure of this decision-making, repeated over and over, is immense. Fatigue does not just slow reactions, it distorts judgment. What makes elite counter-sniper operations extraordinary is the ability to chain success without detection. After each elimination, the hunter must disappear before the enemy can triangulate the shot. This means relocating through darkness, debris, or hostile terrain while carrying equipment and managing adrenaline. The process becomes a cycle. Observe, predict, eliminate, vanish. Repeating it 10 times is not merely skill, it is dominance. There is also a psychological dimension. Snipers operate on confidence in their invisibility. When that illusion collapses, fear replaces control. Missed calls, abandoned nests, and panicked relocations betray their presence more clearly than any muzzle flash. An elite counter-sniper exploits this fear, turning the enemy's own caution into exposure. By the time the last sniper is eliminated, the battlefield has changed completely. Friendly forces can move again, radios come back to life, the silence shifts from threat to relief. Counter-sniper dominance is not measured by body count, but by restored momentum. When 10 snipers fall without ever knowing who hunted them, it sends a message more powerful than gunfire. There is nowhere left to hide. In environments dominated by tradition and rigid expectations, true tactical supremacy stands out most clearly when it defies assumption. The presence of a female operative at the highest level of combat effectiveness challenges long-held stereotypes, not through dialogue or declaration, but through results. Supremacy in warfare is never granted. It is earned through consistency under pressure, flawless execution, and survival where others fail. Gender becomes irrelevant the moment the mission begins, replaced entirely by capability. What defines tactical supremacy is not raw aggression, but control. A superior operator understands when to act and, more importantly, when not to. She reads terrain like a language, recognizing cover, concealment, and danger zones instinctively. Every movement is intentional. Every pause has a reason. This level of control is often mistaken for caution, but it is actually confidence refined by experience. The battlefield does not reward impulsiveness. It rewards those who can dominate chaos without becoming part of it. Operating alongside elite units like the SEALs places extreme demands on trust and credibility. Respect in such circles is built on performance alone. When a female operative proves she can move silently through hostile ground, calculate ballistic trajectories under stress, and neutralize threats without compromise, doubt evaporates quickly. Supremacy emerges not from outperforming expectations, but from rendering expectations meaningless. She is not exceptional because she is a woman. She is exceptional because she is precise, disciplined, and relentless. There is also a strategic advantage rooted in perception. Enemies often underestimate what they do not expect. That hesitation, a delayed reaction, a misjudged silhouette, a dismissed sound creates opportunity. Tactical supremacy exploits every weakness, including psychological ones. When the enemy fails to recognize the threat until it is too late, supremacy has already been established. Surprise in this context is not luck, it is engineered. Supremacy is also measured by endurance. Extended operations erode focus, stamina, and emotional stability. Maintaining clarity of thought after hours of silence, isolation, and lethal decision-making requires exceptional mental conditioning. A superior operator manages fear without suppressing it, using it as information rather than allowing it to dictate action. This emotional discipline ensures consistency across multiple engagements, even when fatigue sets in. Leadership emerges quietly in these moments, not through commands, but through example. When others hesitate, she moves. When uncertainty spreads, her calm restores balance. Tactical supremacy creates gravity. Teammates align around it instinctively. This influence does not seek recognition, yet it shapes the outcome of entire operations. By the end of the mission, supremacy is evident not in celebration, but in aftermath. Threats neutralized, routes cleared, lives preserved. The battlefield reflects order imposed upon chaos. In such moments, identity dissolves into impact. The story left behind is not about who she was expected to be, but about what she accomplished when it mattered most. Elite Special Operations units operate in a world defined by precision, secrecy, and relentless standards, and among them, Navy SEALs represent the extreme edge of modern warfare. Their missions are built around speed, adaptability, and the ability to function independently in environments where conventional forces would stall or fail. When a situation escalates beyond predictable combat, when communication fractures, visibility collapses, and threats multiply, the presence of special operations becomes the decisive factor between extraction and annihilation.
What sets these units apart is not equipment alone, but integration. SEAL operations rely on flawless coordination between ground elements, intelligence, overwatch, and contingency planning. Every member understands the mission beyond their individual role. This shared awareness allows the unit to fragment and regroup fluidly under pressure. In hostile territory, this cohesion becomes survival itself. When snipers lock down movement and pin forces in place, the margin for error disappears entirely. Special Operations Doctrine emphasizes initiative. Waiting for ideal conditions is often impossible, so operators are trained to create advantage where none exists. This mindset transforms adversity into opportunity. Terrain that traps conventional units becomes cover. Darkness that paralyzes movement becomes concealment. When elite forces adapt faster than the enemy can react, momentum shifts instantly. Control does not come from overwhelming force, but from superior decision-making under stress. Trust is the unseen currency of special operations. Each operator relies on the others without hesitation, knowing that failure is not an option. When external assets or unconventional allies integrate into a SEAL-led operation, that trust is extended cautiously and earned quickly. Performance becomes the only language that matters. Competence under fire establishes credibility faster than any rank or reputation. Once earned, that trust allows seamless cooperation in environments where misalignment can be fatal. The psychological load carried by elite operators is immense. They operate knowing that capture, isolation, or death are realistic outcomes. Training conditions them not to eliminate fear, but to function despite it. This mental resilience allows them to absorb sudden losses, adjust plans mid-mission, and continue operating with clarity. When under sniper threat, this resilience is tested to its limits. Each step forward carries risk, yet hesitation can be equally deadly. Special operations also redefine leadership. Authority is situational, shifting to whoever has the clearest tactical picture in the moment. This fluid leadership structure prevents bottlenecks in decision-making. When time compresses and threats converge, the right voice must act instantly. This adaptability allows SEALs to survive scenarios where rigid command structures would collapse. By the conclusion of such missions, success is rarely loud or celebrated. It is measured in extractions completed, casualties avoided, and objectives secured quietly before the enemy understands what occurred. Special operations leave minimal trace, yet their impact is absolute. In environments dominated by chaos and unseen threats, Navy SEALs and those operating at their level impose order through skill, discipline, and unwavering resolve. Their presence does not guarantee safety, but it ensures that survival remains possible when all other options disappear. High-tension war thriller narratives thrive on the thin line between control and catastrophe, where every second carries consequence and every decision reshapes survival. In this kind of story, tension is not created by constant action alone, but by restraint. Silence becomes as powerful as gunfire. Stillness carries more weight than movement. The reader feels pressure not because something is happening, but because something could happen at any moment. This tension is built through uncertainty. The battlefield is never fully understood, even by those operating within it. Information is incomplete, intelligence may be outdated, and the enemy adapts in real time. Characters must act without guarantees, knowing that hesitation can be fatal and confidence can be misleading. Each choice closes one door, while opening another, often more dangerous path. This constant narrowing of options keeps the narrative tight and relentless. Time is a central force in high-stakes war thrillers. Dawn approaching, ammunition running low, injuries compounding, these ticking clocks compress the story and heighten emotional intensity. The closer the deadline, the sharper every action feels. Characters are forced to prioritize brutally, deciding what can be saved and what must be abandoned. These moments define them more than any backstory ever could. Perspective also plays a crucial role. The narrative stays close to the operative's mindset, revealing fragments of thought rather than long explanations. Breathing patterns, muscle tension, fleeting doubts, these details immerse the reader in the immediacy of combat. Fear is present, but it is controlled, redirected into focus. This balance between vulnerability and competence makes the character compelling and believable. Eliminations and engagements are portrayed with precision rather than spectacle. Shots are described in terms of cause and effect, not glorification. The emphasis remains on consequence, how each action alters the battlefield and the psychological state of both hunter and hunted. Violence is purposeful, never random. This grounded approach strengthens realism and keeps tension high without relying on exaggeration. Another defining element is escalation. Each success increases risk rather than resolving it. As enemies fall, the remaining threats grow more unpredictable. Silence deepens, movement becomes rarer. The environment itself seems to resist progress. This inverted rhythm, where progress feels dangerous, maintains suspense until the final moments. Relief is delayed intentionally, making survival feel earned rather than assumed. Resolution in a high-tension war thriller is often understated. There is no triumphant pause, no extended reflection. The mission ends because it must, not because the characters are ready for it to end. Aftermath is brief but heavy, marked by exhaustion, clarity, and quiet acknowledgement of what was lost and what was preserved. This narrative style grips the audience because it respects intelligence and emotional realism. It does not promise safety or heroism without cost. Instead, it delivers immersion, urgency, and authenticity. By the final line, the tension releases not through celebration, but through survival itself, leaving a lingering sense that victory in such wars is always temporary and always earned.